When it gets dark and the environment becomes ominous, some people start sharing their horror stories that happened in real life. Here is one of the most terrifying stories that causes horror for many. This story happened a few years ago with a young woman named Anna. At that time, she lived in a secluded house in a wooded area. One evening, when she was sitting in her living room, she felt an incomprehensible presence in the room. Anna felt a chill running down her spine, and she realized that she was not alone. Suddenly, the light in the room went out, and she was left in total darkness. Then there was an ominous whisper that filled the room. The voice sounded like it came from the very depths of hell. Anna felt terror and panic, but she couldn't move or scream. Something invisible touched her face, causing bouts of insomnia and nightmares over the next few weeks. The phenomena were getting worse every day. Anna heard footsteps and rustles, saw strange silhouettes in the corners of her eyes, and her house was filled with the smell of decay. She felt that something sinister and incomprehensible was following her. Anna's nerves were stretched to the limit, and she decided to figure out this mystery. She began to explore the history of her home and the area where she lived. In the course of her research, she learned that in the past, terrible events related to mystical rituals and sacrifices took place in this area. Anna found ancient records that mentioned the spirit of the victim, who was tied to this land and sought retribution. Every decade, the spirit awakened and sought a new victim to end her life. Anna realized that she had become the last target of this spirit. Anna experienced anxiety and fear, but she did not give up. She was resolutely looking for ways to resist this spirit and protect her life. She turned to experts in the occult and performed rituals that were supposed to expel the spirit from her home. However, nothing helped, and the nightmares continued. With each passing day, Anna became more and more immersed in madness. She began to lose sleep, her health deteriorated, and she felt that her mind was being attacked by the spirit itself. But even in the most desperate moments, Anna did not lose hope and believed that she would find a way to overcome this curse. One day, when Anna was at the peak of her suffering, fate dealt her another blow. She woke up unconscious in a gloomy room, bound and surrounded by incomprehensible symbols on the walls. In front of her stood a man in a mask, personifying madness and cruelty. Anna realized that she had fallen into the hands of a real maniac. She felt his sinister gaze and knew that her life was hanging by a thread. But even in this hopeless situation, Anna did not give up. She concentrated all her strength and took advantage of the moment of surprise. Concentrating, Anna freed her hands and suddenly attacked the maniac. She used every possible self-defense technique she had ever known. Despite her exhaustion and weakness, she was fighting for her life. Anna was locked in a gloomy room surrounded by walls and secrets. She decided to go deeper into the corridor, trying to find a way out of this nightmare. With every step she took, she felt everything coming closer behind her, as if the forces of evil were waiting for her. As she ran through the dark and confusing corridors, the noises and footsteps made her heart beat even faster. Anna understood that she was not alone here and that other abducted victims might be following her. She heard their soft moans and screams that shook her soul. But Anna didn't give up. Her strong-willed spirit and desire to survive kept her moving forward. She continued to. Suddenly, light penetrated through the darkness, and Anna saw a faint light beam at the end of the corridor. She came to the door, behind which there was hope of salvation. The rapidly approaching footsteps forced her to concentrate once again and forcefully open the door. Anna ran outside, soaking up the free air and feeling alive. She found herself in an abandoned forest, far from the place of horrors where she was held captive. She was wounded and exhausted, but her spirit was unwavering. Anna, running out of the forest, was filled with relief, but she did not have time to rest. She grabbed the first taxi she saw, wanting to get as far away from this place of horror as possible. But when she got inside, fear pierced her when she saw the familiar mask of a maniac on the driver's face. Anna sat carefully in the back seat, not wanting to attract the attention of a maniac. She knew that her life was in danger again. Thoughts of how to get out of this trap were spinning in her head. The driver, still hiding his true face, accelerated the car, creating a tense expectation. Suddenly, the maniac lost control of the car, and the taxi crashed heavily into a tree. Anna, without wasting a second, freed herself from her seat belts and ran out of the car. She was wounded and exhausted, but she felt that she had to continue fighting for her life. She continued her journey on foot, looking for salvation and help. As a result, after a long and difficult journey, Anna found help in a small village hotel. There she received medical attention and reported her terrible ordeal to the police. Anna, wounded and exhausted, continued to walk, relying on her last remaining strength. She felt that every step was getting harder, but desperately insisted on getting to the nearest place where she could be helped. As she moved forward, her leg wound became more painful. She noticed that her clothes were bloody, and the branch that pierced her leg was still there. It was difficult for her to walk, every step was painful. But Anna didn't give up. She used every last bit of her strength to keep moving forward. The thought of salvation in Anna's story remained unsolved and lost among the trees of the forest. Her screams disappeared into the night air, leaving only emptiness and the bitterness of a failed struggle for survival.